Welcome to EdTech Wednesday. Today's session is NotebookLM for blended learning in middle school. This session is for all contents, all grade levels. We decided to do it on blended learning specifically, but it can apply to anyone. So you can use the information today. My name is Maribel Martinez, alongside Mr. David Villarreal. We are your secondary integration technology specialists. And in today's session, we'll explore how NotebookLM can support blended learning strategies in middle school classrooms, in high school classrooms for your station rotations, or any type of student group work. Before we get started, some housekeeping items. Remember to keep your mic muted. Register through the professional development system. Mr. Villarreal will go ahead and put that PD number in the chat. Drop any questions in the chat, and remember to use your remote check-in, PSJA Tech. The objectives for today is to explore how NotebookLM can be used to build and reinforce academic vocabulary in a station rotation model or a blended learning model, specifically for student-driven learning. You'll be able to design a NotebookLM that helps students summarize, reflect, and connect key concepts throughout the day or throughout a station rotation or a blended learning. I want you to think of NotebookLM as a supercharged study guide. It takes your class materials, PDFs, Google Docs, any information that you might have that you're going to use for your lesson, organize them, and then it becomes a personal tutor that can quiz, summarize, and explain concepts to your students. Some ideas for stations can be taking a specific TEKS. Like for today, we're focusing on 2B for ELA, RLA, and this standard is specifically vocabulary. From that TEKS in NotebookLM, we can use it to create quizzes, flashcards, mind maps, a podcast that explains the skill, even a video that can explain the skill. If a student was absent, if you need to reteach something, or if you need to reteach a skill, if you need to use this specifically in a station rotation, NotebookLM comes in really handy to do that type of work. So for example, today's TEK that we're focusing on is to be, the description of that TEKS is to use context such as a definition, an analogy, or even an example to clarify the meaning of words. What this means is just the students using context clues, going back to the text to determine what a word means, okay? So before you get started on NotebookLM, you have to organize yourself and get your passage, get your lesson, get everything that you need from the curriculum, gather any vocabulary words that you have, make sure you have your TEKS and even the TEKS description like I did in the previous slide. Also, what do you want your students to do on NotebookLM to have some instructions ready for Google Classroom? Because now we can integrate a NotebookLM into our Google Classroom. It'll link it straight to NotebookLM. So NotebookLM is available to students from grade 6th grade all the way to high school, 12th grade. So make sure that you have the instructions ahead of time so that you can get everything that you need out of that NotebookLM. Here are some instructions that you don't have to use all of these, and Mr. Villarreal will go ahead and put these instructions in the chat. That way you can use them when we start exploring how to create a NotebookLM. And you'll see you don't have to use all of them. Some of the things that we are focusing on here that you can create with a NotebookLM is vocabulary. You can create the flashcards, the videos. You can even add open-ended questions or essential question that is for like a whole unit or by 6 weeks. So you can do all of that within NotebookLM. All right. So the information I'm using today or that I used today to build my notebook was I went to the middle school curriculum. I pulled out a lesson that was targeting um, vocabulary, and this is where I got everything. I got my Google slide deck that already had definitions. I got my story, the passage that they were supposed to use for this lesson, and I even got a description of the whole entire description of the TEKS. So the focus is to create the vocabulary flashcards or videos based on the TEKS that I have provided here. Okay, as you can see, this lesson has a reading from StudySync. It has think questions and it has the vocabulary as well. What I really like about this is that it even has the essential question. So there's plenty of things that I can add to that notebook based on the lesson that I took out from the curriculum. Okay, so now we're going to jump into we're going to go to NotebookLM or to Google Classroom. I like to use my applications portal to get into Google Classroom. And here on the left-hand panel, we have the Gemini app. So let me take you there. These are all the tools that are under Gemini. And these three buckets down here, you have the Gemini app, how to create a gem. This logo right here is, or this icon right here is for gems, and the NotebookLM logo. I'm going to go to create new notebook, but here I see everything that I have already created. The one that I'm going to use today is this one, to be vocabulary session. On the sources side, which is on the left, right here, you can upload up to 50 sources per day. And I have already integrated my vocabulary in there, a passage. You can upload a Google Doc, a video, a PDF. You can even include images or any type of videos. In the middle, you have your chat box, and you can create notes. You know, you can start typing information in here. Your students can also use the chat. If you're going to share with your students through Google Classroom, they can also ask questions here as far as, remember, this is a tutor, so they can ask questions as far as the assignments that you have already created over here on the right in your studio. So as you can see right here on the right, I have an ECR prompt that I included in here with a note. If you have any specific questions that you want to have your student answer, you can add a note. And this could be like a word problem. It could be any type of assignment that you want to add. It could even be a grammar question. It can be anything that you want to do for your students. Some of the things that I have already created is, for example, the podcast. I'm going to go ahead and play it. Remember, this is focusing on vocabulary, so let's listen to it for just a quick minute. So that podcast is diving into how to use the context clues to determine what the words mean. And then I have also created a video. Um, if a student missed a lesson on that specific skill, this is what it would look like. So the way I created this was I went to video overview. Earlier we listened to the first one we listened to was the audio overview, which is your podcast. And then here on the audio overview, if you click on the pencil, you can create exactly the way you would do your lesson, how you would teach the skill to your students. You can click on the pencil, and here at the bottom, uh, you can start prompting what you want that video to include. You can be specific with the tics here. You want to include the description of the tics. Whatever it is you want your students to do, you can have you it will generate it for you in this section. You can also create a mind map. This is a mind map that I created. So Ms. White was a fearless photographer. It gives her early life, her career as a trailblazer. That's one of the vocabulary words. And all of that is from the text. Okay, back to the studio. Remember that essential question. I created a note here at the bottom, and I gave them the essential question. How do you know what to do when there are no directions? Somehow tying this question back to whatever they have read about Margaret White. So that was the whole week. We covered that story. So you always want to type this essential question back to what the students learned throughout the week. So you can even include that. I included a reflection. Tell what you learned about Margaret Burke White. What does the author say or show that helps you understand she is hardworking, creative, and impact? One of our vocabulary words was trailblazer. So if the student learned what the word trailblazer means, they can use it in this reflection as well. Let me see what else. I created a quiz. So students can use this quiz to study, to especially the vocabulary words. This one is, in this sentence, what is the word norm? And then it gives them some answer choices. They can always go back to the text and determine, since the text is already here on the sources side, they can use that source or the story to take the context out of there. Okay. So all of these things are here. There's even some flashcards that you can create flashcards. It can be for the vocabulary words, or it can be for other information they have in the passage. All right, so let's get to working or exploring on how to create that NotebookLM through Google Classroom. I'm going to jump back to Google Classroom. Mr. Villarreal has already linked 3 sources for a passage for English 1. But again, you can use any PDF, any sources that you have to already, start working on that. I'm going to take my instructions that I had for Google Classroom. I'm going to go to my class. I'm going to click classwork, create, and down here on the drop down menu, you have your regular topics that you usually have, but now you can see NotebookLM here and gems, and of course the topic that was already there. I'm going to click on NotebookLM and I'm going to say create new notebook. Here you're going to upload your sources. Okay, I'm going to include you can upload up to 50 sources. The story, I forgot to title it, so I'm going to title this Heart of Darkness. And I'm going to continue to add okay, so for this specific story, I wanted to focus on one of the teaks, and I'm going to put the teaks in front of the title. I'm going to say E1.5G. That is for explicit and implicit information in a text. So I am ready to start creating my audio, which is a podcast, a video, a mind map. Let's say I want to create a video. I'm going to click on the pencil and I am going to say, what should the AI host focus on? I'm going to say, I want my students to focus on the teaks E1.5G, discuss and write about implicit and explicit meaning in the story Heart of Darkness. Okay, so that's the skill that I want my students to focus on. It'll create a video based on that. Do I want an explainer, which is a comprehensive overview that connects the dots within your sources? That's perfect. That's what I wanted to do. Or you could do a shorter video. So it usually makes a 5 to 6 minute video, but it can be shorter. What I like is that, you know, it's just targeting that skill. You can choose any format that you want. I'm staying with the regular one, but you can, it has plenty of fun choices here as well. I'm going to generate, it does take a few minutes to generate that video, but in the meantime, I can start creating a quiz. You click the pencil to create a quiz, and here what the number of questions that you want. Is it a few questions, maybe the standard, which is 5, or it goes up to like 25 questions. So I would stick to maybe like a few questions. Also the level of difficulty. And here I'm going to be very specific again with the teaks. I'm going to go ahead and use the same teaks, create a quiz, a 5-question quiz where the students have to find textual evidence for using the TEKS E 1.5G. Okay, generate. As you can see, it's still generating a video, but it does take a few minutes and you'll get that 5-minute video. You can create some flashcards, a mind map about the note. Here's where you want to start asking questions. I'm going to ask the essential question, which was in my how does an environment affect a character's internal thoughts? So going back, how does an environment okay? And then once you click Studio, it'll create that essential question. It's there. So you can put as many questions as you would like. Since this is a study guide, sort of a study guide, you want to have something for your students to take notes on. Maybe a note catcher, some type of worksheet that the students can use to make sure that they're, doing the assignments that are within NotebookLM. It's still generating that video. Like I said, that'll take a few minutes, but going back to Google Classroom, I am going to put my instructions there again. As you can see, it's already linked here. So I'm going to title this NotebookLM, Heart of Darkness. I'm going to put my pretend instructions. They're just pretend because just so you can get some idea of what you can use for instructions. And then it's going to tell them to listen to the podcast and take notes. As you listen, take notes in your notebook or a Google Doc, or you might provide a note catcher, like I said. Focus on important facts, themes, and ideas about her life. It can be anything that you want your students to do, okay? Read the passage, highlight or jot down key moments, go to the video on vocabulary and take notes on how to find context clues and determine the word. So this is just an idea of what you want your students to do using that NotebookLM, okay? Once it's there and you have it ready to go, you can see that it's already linked here. Even though it says Untitled Notebook, it is this one that we just did, okay? Because it took me straight to that place and I started creating it. Okay, and then you post it. I'm going to give it a topic. I can create a new topic and say reading notebooks post. And there you have it. It created a NotebookLM for your students. It's right here. And we go back, if we go back, you can see that it linked it. It has the Heart of Darkness, which is what I did. That's what I titled that notebook. And it even has the TEKS and the instructions. So again, this is how you would use NotebookLM for station rotation, blended learning, or any type of group work, or even if it's just for a student that missed a class, this is the way you would use it.